The Angry Chicken is a production of AMove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Hey everyone! Get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzerl. The whole crew is here today, as has been for the year. I don't know why I'm saying that like that hasn't been the case for the last few episodes, but everyone's here. Dills, you're here. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. Excited for the show today. Got a lot more than I expected to talk about.
Same. Yeah, it's been a little quiet, but there's still quite a bit to get through. Jocelyn?
Mostly tax stuff, by the way.
Did you say tax stuff? I mean,
tax
it is
stuff. Mostly stuff about us.
We have stuff to talk about us.
Oh, about Angry Chicken. I see. It's also January of a new year.
Yeah, Hearthstone, whatever. We're talking about us today.
I thought you were going to say you have to do taxes because we're all self-employed here, and
no, we're not talking about that. No.
Yeah. It's coming soon.
Oh, tack is so much more fun than tax. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Jocelyn Moffat is also in the house, in the coop. What we say? It's the coop. In the chicken house.
The chicken house.
Chicken coop for sure.
You would think 298 episodes in, we would be better with our chicken puns, but here we are. So, hey, how are you doing up in the frozen north?
Good. Very frozen. Very frozen. Feels like Knights of the Frozen Throne up here, but it's all good. It's been a good Hearthstone week. I'm still loving Clone Priest, man. That thing is ridiculous.
It's a good time. You're not the only one loving it too. There was a lot of it going on in the HCT. There's a lot of it going on my ladder, even when I'm not playing it. It's not just because I'm bringing it. Other people are too. I'm curious. It's going to be about... I was going to follow up with this joke. Knights of the Frozen Throne will be leaving around the same time that your Knights of the Frozen Throne weather should be leaving Canada.
Hopefully.
Going to standard. Yeah, unless something gets delayed, like winter or an expansion.
Please no.
Maybe it's just going to get outright canceled.
Are you all in any... we never really talk about this, but... I still sometimes use Facebook despite my better judgment, and I am in some Hearthstone groups on Facebook, and I don't really I'm not active. I don't really pay attention to it, but I check Facebook and the feed gets updated. Hearthstone players on Facebook, real sick of Hunter. Like, I feel like every time I load up Facebook right now, about every 7th post is someone in some Hearthstone Facebook fan group complaining about Hunter. Are y'all seeing any of that?
Well, I think that's just seems to be the new class everyone's pissed off about. It was Warlock, then it was Druid, now it's Hunter. Like, it's the thing people are ticked off about. For some reason, Paladin has been pretty prevalent right at the top of all the tier lists for a really long time now, but no one really seems to be directing their hate at Paladin. I don't know why that is, but I think it's just the new hotness where it comes to hate. Like, there's always got to be something that has to be nerfed, Gerarg, pitchforks, and right now it's Hunter.
No, Paladin will be talked about soon, because after this weekend we saw the dual OTK Paladins kind of prominence, and it
did quite well.
Last forever. They can beat kind of anything. People are going to be annoyed playing that deck real soon.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was seeing the Holy Wrath Paladin a little bit here and there, but since this weekend, I've ran into it like 4 or 5 times just in the last couple of days.
Yeah, because out of the top 4, how many people had it in the last tournament? It was like 3 or 4 of them, maybe all 4. I don't know.
I think all 4 of them had it, and it has the dual win condition now. So it's got the Holy Wrath win condition to do the 25 damage, but then it also has the Death Knight, like shuffle in the little dudes and stuff. Like, it has that win condition as well. So it's not even punished against something like Warrior, which it used to be, because 25 damage to a Warrior most of the time means nothing. But now they have the Death Knight win condition as well that doesn't care about armor. So
Get ready, everybody. You're going to hate
it. People are going to hate Paladin soon, I guess. But I think mostly it's just driven by the fact that Rexar is just so strong. And there seems to be many different ways to build Hunter right now. But all of those ways involve Rexar. And then Rexar just gets there sometimes when you're not supposed to. And I think that's where the bad feeling comes from, is that like when you get a Rexar win in a match where you really weren't supposed to, then that's what makes your opponent feel bad. And that's what creates a Reddit post.
So Firebat had a pretty good take on what Hunter feels like now in one of his videos recently I saw. He said it feels like a 3-phase boss fight because you have to go through opening phase where oftentimes, especially with the secret package, they play like Dire Maul on 1, Razor Maul on 2, and then eventually you get like, you know, your spell stones and stuff. Then they turn into Zul'jin at some point, make a big old board. And then if you get through that, then they turn into Rexar. And then now you got to go into the late game phase.
Yeah, when they never run out of steam, because even if they're drawing one card, they're making a beast every turn.
Well, dude, it's crazy too. Is now they have the thing. So Master's Call is an incredibly powerful card, and you're like, oh, that should be fatiguing them, right? And then they Dire Frenzy a bunch of stuff back into their deck, and they're like, nope, I got plenty of cards in my deck. I'm good to go. So it's weird how many tools they've kind of ended up having. Where not only can they have early aggression, but the same exact deck that has early aggression can have strong mid game and then go into like infinite value fatigue style deck.
Yeah.
One deck. It can be aggro, mid range, and fatigue. It's crazy.
It's a little.
But I think that's okay because Hunter went through a really long time where Hunter really wasn't strong. Like nobody was bringing it to tournaments. Like it's cyclical, right? So right now Hunter's on top, and eventually they'll be on the bottom again, and then we'll see other decks like Mage. Mage will be on top again, and it's fine.
I'm okay with it, to be honest. Yeah, I understand how strong their stuff is, but it also feels very beatable. I definitely don't feel like, oh, they just got some disgusting draw and I can't win. I always feel like I have a chance against Hunter. And the games are very interesting and intricate, and they do have powerful cards. But it doesn't feel like the way Q-Block felt to me, right? It doesn't feel like the way Druid has felt at times. It doesn't feel like that at all.
They feel like more, to me, interesting, obviously opinion, but a more interesting version of like solid ladder climbing decks. Like we talked about even an Odd Paladin, how they've just been on top of the meta alongside even Shaman for over a year now. And so to me, Hunter feels the same way because I never in the history of this game went up against an Odd or even Paladin and just been like, oh man, there's just nothing I can do about this. And yet they've been very prevalent for an extremely long time. And that's how I kind of feel about Hunter as well. It's like, yeah, I see it often. I'm not refuting that, but I don't feel like it's unfair. I still go up against Odd Warriors and was like, just go away. I'm sick of you.
Yeah. Versus like, I mean, Druid, for me at least, like speaking to no one's complaint or people are complaining they're nerfing Druid, took Druid out of the game or whatever. There's still ways to play Druid that are perfectly valid and fun. But I felt like for me going up against Druid always felt like there's nothing I can do. You know, there was like the fact that they would get turn 10 on turn 5 sometimes. And I was just like, damn it, like how is getting UI'd on turn 5 okay and fair?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like, you know, as powerful as Rexar is, even on, 6 or 7, 8, whatever, he's still not, I never feel like I can't keep up because at least like mana wise, I'm on the same turn. I never feel like they're doing their late game where I'm still doing my early game. So Hunter,
it does feel frustrating though when they roll like taunt, poisonous, bloat bat.
Yes,
built up a big board against them, but it's rare enough that happens that it's fine. Like there's still enough.
Well, that's the thing. It has the biggest pool of cards. We have the biggest pool of cards in Hearthstone right now, right? Which means that Rexar has the biggest pool of beasts, which actually makes him more inconsistent now than he's ever been. So I think,
but that makes it tilting when they get it because then you're like, oh, come on, really?
What were the chances? 1 in 380? Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, those are the points in Hearthstone where you just have to kind of go, well, one of these days I'm going to get the 1 in 380 and I'm going to win. And
it's a crazy game story you get to tell.
Exactly.
I had an excruciatingly, like soul crushingly lucky turn against a hunter just earlier today. I got back on the even shaman because I was sick of not moving up in rank, and we're doing Mechathune Warlock today, guys. It's not my deck. It's not my deck. No, not for me.
It's slow going, but it's good.
Yeah, that's Clone Priest just clicks so much better for me. But anyways, oh my God, I'm as usual blanking on all card names. I play my 2/2 elemental that gives me another elemental, and it gave me
Nimbus.
Nimbus.
yeah, there you go. It gave me the card that I definitely don't know the name of because I've never put it in a deck on purpose. That deals 3 damage to all other minions if you played an elemental the previous turn. And
Arcanosaur.
yeah, that's exactly what I needed to deal with all the freaking 3/3 wolves that I was about to lose to. I was just like, I'm dead. There's no out. Screw it. Here you go, Nimbus. Oh crap! I forgot this card was a thing. It was great. It was disgusting, and you just gotta try and keep those things in the back of your mind because you get lucky too. I mean, even I get lucky sometimes. Garrett Luck is a meme on this show. So
Yeah, I call impossible. Replayer, it didn't happen.
yeah, so yeah, and I don't know. In the grand scheme of things too, like. Yeah, they're powerful. Yeah, they're prevalent as far as hunters are concerned. But if that's going to be the case, I'd like to see it now, like at the end of a standard year, when we know when the next expansion is coming, and coming with it is the standard rotation. Also, it's a class that, as you already brought up, Jocelyn, like they've been pretty samey for a large portion of this game's existence, and the hunters that we're seeing now are very different, and it's not like they've been oppressive for years at a time.
Yeah.
So if it was still Druid right now on top, I'd just be like, I'm done. I'm over it. Let's make something happen. Because it's Hunter, I have a little more patience for it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyways, before we get into Hearthstone news, let's talk about Angry Chicken news because last week we announced that Taco Rastakon is happening. And have we decided we're calling it Taco Rumble or Rasta Taco?
Right now in the battle fight, it's Rumble in the Taco, but we're still workshopping that.
Rumble in the Taco. Okay. Anyways, you voted and it tied. So via a tiebreaker, it's going to be Standard Conquest, blowing everyone's minds with the
never been tried before
with the format.
Yeah, so basically Standard and Conquest had the same number of votes. They had 10 votes each, and then so we took the numbers of wild votes, which were very different for formats, to break the tie between Conquest and Last Hero Standing. So more of you guys overall liked Conquest than Last Hero Standing, which does make me sad because I love Last Hero Standing, but overall Standard Conquest it is.
Yep.
That's fine. I mean, look, it's a format we're all used to, and
I think people will be most
fun.
prepared for this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting decks to be played right now. I mean, I just watched ACT this weekend and was enjoying all the games, so it's going to be fun. And Wild right now is, I think a lot of people they don't play a lot of Wild, so they're just like, I don't want to learn how to play, what decks are good.
Well, and I feel like because we just had the switch up that we were talking about, and there are so many different competitive viable decks right now. I think we are in a really good Hearthstone meta in Standard, so you don't really need to go over to Wild to find the fun right now. So I think a lot of people are spending their time in Standard. So as much as the top 100 Wild are going to qualify for the Open right now, I still think that the interest is more in Standard because the meta is really fun. So.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's fine.
That's something is different this time though, because Dills, we're giving away one of the pack stacks a little bit differently.
So we in the last few, what we've been doing is top 4 get 15 Rastakhan pack or whatever packs for that expansion, and then we have 2 kind of random participation awards. We're still going to have the 2 extra awards. One of them will be completely randomized. But another one will be given away because I will also play in the tournament, and whoever beats me will get a bounty for beating me, which will be one of those 15 packs. Now, I'm not going to come in with the tippy top tiered best decks and try my best to win this tournament because it really is supposed to be a tournament made for patrons and listeners of the show. But we've had people suggest that if we played in the tournament ourselves and had bounties on the host heads, that would be kind of fun. So what I'll do is I'll bring some fun decks that have a chance to win. I'm not gonna totally just give away a win and whoever gets me in the first round, but I'm not gonna bring top tier decks. I'm gonna bring some interesting stuff. And if you happen to get lucky and go up against me and then beat me, you will get one of the 15 packs. So it's essentially kind of randomized as well.
And we should also mention, because it's being asked in the chat room, this is if you overall kick Dills out of the tournament, not if you win a game
Beat
against
me
Dills.
in our match, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got to beat me
Kick 'em
3
out.
times, 3 games. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be the victor, or we're gonna knock you out at the round of 8 if somehow you ride a milkshake
If I
deck.
do make it to the
That
so yeah,
far.
the caveat, if I make it to the top 8 with my weird lineup, I will then essentially whoever goes up against me there will get a free ride into the top 4 because I will just, we can still play the matches if we want, if we have time, but I will just go ahead and forfeit that match to that person. That person will make the top 4, and then we will just give away 2 of the random prizes because that guy will make top 4, so there will be 2 prizes left. So
Yeah,
we will, but essentially it's just one random, 1 bounty, and then the 4 top people will also get it. So it'll all make sense. Don't worry.
Dills has a plan.
Yeah, I got a plan. But I mean, always when we're doing the tournaments, I'm there anyway all day adminning. So it's, and since I'll be playing weird decks and not really trying my hardest, it'll be pretty easy for me to do both. But I think it'll be fun for, somebody will come up against me and we could just, have a good time and enjoy it. So it's not a super serial tournament, you guys. It's one to have fun in. So please, when you show up, come with that
What
mentality.
is this fun you speak of?
It's actually the last few that
Competitive
I've
Hearthstone,
have
damn
been-
it.
Yeah. The past few have been totally like that, where people have not been, coming in like bitching and moaning about every little thing. It's like we all understand what we're here for. We're here to have a good time. This is a fun community tournament. We give away the prizes so that people have an incentive to show up. But really, it's just to enjoy playing Hearthstone. That's not on the ladder.
Yeah.
It is not possible to say, hey, Tallman is asking. It's not possible to get 2 prizes because if I forfeit to you in the top 8, you instantly become a top 4 person, win a prize. Then 2 other people will get it.
but if they beat you lower than that,
If someone beats me lower than that, sure.
They could win more prizes.
If somebody wins 2, we'll give away the random one. Like
Okay.
we won't give somebody 2.
Okay.
That will not happen.
we're not gonna double stack 15 packs.
Yeah, we're not going to give anybody 2. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. What a
6 people will receive.
want to spread the love, everybody. Want to spread the love.
Yeah, 6 people will receive prizes.
Yeah. Also, if you haven't been keeping count, this is episode 298 of the Angry Chicken, which means 300 is right around the corner. And Hachikumo has posted to the Angry Chicken subreddit, which you can find by going to r/TAC podcast, ideas for the episode 300 of TAC. And it looks like they're considering crowdsourcing clips of us from very early days of the show saying things that are clearly not correct anymore. There's just some really fun stuff in here, so go check it out. It's at the top of the Angry Chicken subreddit right now, and we have a link in the show notes. And thank you, Hachikumo. This sounds hilarious. I hope.
Yeah, no, this would be really cool if people do want to do something for the 300th episode and get some audience participation. This is a cool idea, and we still are kind of up in the air on exactly what's happening. But if this does come together, we will include this for sure.
I still haven't heard about the thing I teased. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We still, yeah. Another thing may happen.
Something that doesn't even happen.
We'll see.
Yep. So if you want to play in Taco, signups go live tomorrow for $2 patrons. It'll open up for all patrons the following week and everyone else after that. So check it out over at patreon.com/TAC. And if you want to get in on TAC 300 celebrations, go to reddit.com/r/TAC podcast. Now let's get into the meat of the show and talk some Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
We have our 4 players for the Winter Championship from Americas.
We do. It was a fun tournament. It was really cool. I enjoyed this one more than the EU one, by the way. Not because there was like way cooler decks, but I just think there was some really interesting. It evolved quite a bit from the EU one, right? And like Jocelyn, you mentioned on the last show that the first region to go kind of sets the tone for the next 2, right? And that's exactly what happened here. You saw the evolution from this like super control thing that happened in EU to this anti-control thing that happened here in NA. It was really.
Oh yeah, it was combos all over the place this weekend, which I feel like, so I guess there was some Mechathune stuff. There was some like Holy Wrath and Uther Paladin stuff. There was obviously the priest, the clone priest deck. There were just so many cool combo things. And I know like they can sometimes be frustrating to play against because sometimes they can feel a little solitaire-ish. But I felt like because the level of play was so high that when people actually got the combos to go off, it was so satisfying as a viewer. I thought this tournament, I agree with you, Dills. I thought this tournament was way more entertaining than the EU tournament last weekend. So I'm interested to see if now we see in APAC, which is next weekend, like super aggressive lineups to punish all of these crazy combo things.
These OTKs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting because there was a bunch of lineups that targeted essentially Odd Warrior. They said if you bring Odd Warrior, you will lose. Now that being said, that doesn't mean that if you brought Odd Warrior, you didn't win, because in the top 4, Ike made it and he had Odd Warrior.
Yeah.
But his lineup was kind of built around, you'll ban my Odd Warrior and then I'm going to beat you up with all this like aggro, because he had tempo aggro stuff, right?
He did, yeah.
But you saw Killing All Day that was like the one where I kept watching him play in these matches where he was just like, he kept queuing the Odd Warrior because he knew the only way to win the match was to get the Odd Warrior through.
Yeah.
But he was going up against, guys like Bloody Face. Bloody Face ran literally kill Odd Warrior at all costs decks. It was Quest Rogue. What do you have? Quest Rogue. He had Topsy Turvy Priest. He had obviously the Paladin.
Topsy Turvy Priest. Actually, I was surprised.
I think he was like one of the only people. There's not that many of them, but
there were more than I was expecting, and they seemed to do quite well because anytime I saw it on stream, it won.
There were 3. There were 3 total, but the 3 people who brought it, it was very clear why they brought it, because they were the people who were good enough at it.
Yes.
To do it, right? And it was really impressive to watch Bloody Face do it, because usually you watch it and it's like, okay, pressure's on, and then you see the kind of they get a little tense, and suddenly it's like, oh, am I going to get it off in time? There was one game where he played, and he just kind of rubbed his hands together, and then he just went into action. And then all of a sudden, all the arrows started flying, and then it was like, and then he just sat back, and you're like, oh, he did it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool to watch, because it is not everyone can pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the bloody.
He had Holy Wrath Paladin, Hakar Druid, APM Priest, and Quest Rogue. So he was literally like, I am going to kill all the Odd Warriors and all the super control decks. Like nobody will beat me with those.
Yeah, the matchup between Blayface and Killing All Day was kind of brutal. I don't think I've heard casters go, "Oh," that many times in a while.
It felt really bad. Yeah.
Killing All Day is already qualified for the World Championships, so
true.
He didn't need the win.
He still got top 8, by the way. He did,
he
didn't get top 4. So he still earned points, and he still got money.
Yeah, he still got like 10K or whatever. Like, oh darn.
Poor guy. But yeah, there was a lot of big names went out early, but I was really happy. Like Ike, Noblord, Bloody Face, Bobby X. These are some guys that I think really deserve it, or like Ike especially.
Yeah.
Has been putting a lot of effort into this Hearthstone thing for a while, and hasn't really had like these major results yet. He's had some good results in some smaller outside tournaments and things. Everyone knows him as a really strong player, but this was kind of him just saying like, yeah, here I am, watch what I can do. Mm-hmm. And he even mentioned on Twitter a bunch of times, nobody picked me out of the casters to be the one qualifying. And he was just like, yeah, you all made a mistake. And it was cool because he said that before and then he proved it. Like he actually did it. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was glad to see Noblord go through as well. And it's worth mentioning that Bloody Face has also already qualified for Worlds. So we now have 3 players so far out of the 8 that have qualified for the Winter Championships that have already qualified for Worlds. So I'm really excited to see, because I think we're going to get a bonus tournament out of this, because if any of those 3 players end up in the top 4 that would normally go through to the World Championships, they're going to have to do a playoffs with the people who finished 5th to 8th. So I think we're going to get bonus Hearthstone, guys. I'm super stoked.
I think it also just speaks to the quality of this meta throughout this entire expansion cycle. That we're seeing this consistent of results.
Well, yeah, this is actually the first season or year where we've seen this happen, where guys are qualifying and then qualifying again, right?
Yeah.
So much. It's happened in all the regions at this point. And it's kind of cool because usually what's been happening is people qualify and then they like take some time off.
Yeah.
They go off and they just, okay, I'm a streamer now until the actual world championships. The guys are just grinding and proving
Well, and
how
I
good
think
they are over and over
that
again.
has a lot to do too with the now not a thing anymore, but the Hearthstone Masters program, because in previous years there was no reason to keep playing competitively, grinding ladder all the time and everything else. And then they brought in the Hearthstone Masters program, and then all of a sudden 3 seasons at a time counted, and your points total over 3 seasons counted. So these guys are like, well, yeah, I want to do as just because I've qualified for Worlds doesn't mean that my Hearthstone career is on pause or anything. Like I still have to work towards, these appearance fees and everything else. And I really want to be in those tournaments for those big prize pools and everything else. So I think that Hearthstone Masters program, as much as it was potentially had some flaws, I think it was a good idea. And I'm kind of sad that they did away with it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still, I find it so difficult to have these conversations because we don't really know what we're looking at, like what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean they've said that Hearthstone Masters is not a thing anymore, and they extended it so it's 4 seasons instead of 3 seasons to do through their like transition period. But yeah, you're right. We don't know what they're transitioning into, and it's quite possible that Premier League thing, whatever that's going to look like, might be what is replacing Hearthstone Masters. But again, you're right. We're not sure, and it's really hard to speculate because it seems like they're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater in terms of HCT and doing something totally different. So
well,
hopefully they grab that baby and keep the good stuff. But
at least we still have an esport in Hearthstone.
Yes, yeah, we still do have an esport. That is true. And an esport that's got some rules. And unfortunately, APX Void broke one this weekend. So ended up being disqualified.
Yeah. So if this wasn't exciting enough, we also had disqualification to deal with. This has been a roller coaster of emotions.
Wasn't he also in it was like in the 8th round of Swiss or 7th round of Swiss too, right? Like he was gonna qualify for the top 4 or top 8 if he wins. Yeah.
Well, I think then it would have gone to tiebreakers because I believe he was playing against Ant.
But he was in the running.
Ant ended up finishing 12th, but I believe Apex Void's tiebreakers were better than Ant's. Okay. So I think he would have gotten in.
That's rough, man. That is really, really rough. But it's so he initially sounded like so sad about it that he might just leave Hearthstone competitive esports completely because of this. But I think, you said, Joss, you were watching his stream last night and he seemed in better spirits.
I was, yeah. So basically what happened was there was a post put up. So Blizzard maintains a blog of all of their administrative rulings. So a post went up on that blog and it said APX Void has been disqualified for breaking rule 7.11 or something like that.
7.11a.
Yeah, which basically is the rule in the Hearthstone rulebook that says thou shalt not cheat. So then there was a lot of speculation about what exactly he would have done, given that they were at official venues. He wasn't at home. Supposedly there's supposed to be admins there. So WTF happened. Then there was a news article that went up that basically took that information and said, oh my God, scandal, APX Void cheated at HCT, which then he didn't respond to for about a day. And I think that's when he was kind of in his own head and feeling really horrible about the whole incident because Dills, like you said, he was supposed to, it was right at the end of the tournament. He was doing really well. He should have qualified, then he didn't. So I think he just got up all in his own head. But then when it actually came out with what he did, then he didn't necessarily cheat as much as he broke a rule. And
he didn't cheat.
He didn't cheat. And that's what made it so unfortunate. And the article that went up originally has since been updated with, his side of the story, which has been verified by other players and admins and stuff that were there. So basically what happened was the rule that he broke is he pressed enter in the Hearthstone client and wrote a message for the person the player next to him to see, which actually turned out to be his practice partner. And Frozen. Yes, it was Frozen. So he wrote out the message, technically the round hadn't actually started, but the reason he didn't ask the question out loud was because he didn't want to distract the players around him who might have already started their matches. So he wrote the question up on his screen, hoping Frozen would look over. Frozen didn't, nothing happened. But then later on in the round, he went to go and send another message. And when he pressed enter, it sent the original message asking a question. It was something about Fatigue Warrior or something. So he actually sent the message to the last person he had been talking to, which happened to be an admin, which is where the problem came up. So,
and the admin is the person spectating the match. So that's what they said, is that he asked information from somebody spectating the match, which would be considered then like potentially like collusion, or you could call it like some form of sniping, something like that, because that person is the one watching the match. And obviously you should not be communicating about strategy with the person watching the match. So
right. Yeah. So it was an innocent mistake that should never have happened and was very unfortunate. And he did say, he's like, yes, I did this. He accepted the disqualification. There was nothing, like he didn't say, oh no, it wasn't me or whatever. He was like, yeah, it was really stupid. I didn't mean to. I was just nervous. It was the last round, blah, 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 whatever. So
it's definitely a mistake. Like
it's totally a mistake. Yeah.
You shouldn't even be doing something like this. But a lot of players also brought up like what he technically did, if you think about it, is essentially ask like a fellow player who he works with a strategy question before the match started, which all players do all the time. They constantly are discussing matchups with each other. You cannot consider that illegal. The situation is that when it got entered, technically at that point the match has begun. You can no longer do that.
Yeah, it's more of a very strict technicality. Like So the issue here is with essentially the reporting, that he really got raked over the coals here for this without the full story being out there. This was truly cheating that he was getting docked for. Boy, he's the worst cheater in the world. This is like if I was a bank robber and before robbing the bank, I went up to a police officer and said, "Excuse me, officer, do you mind if I rob this bank? Is that okay with you?
You tell me the best way in and out. Thank you."
You hand a police officer the note that says, "Please go tell the bank teller to give me all the money."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'll be honest, like when it first came out that said the APX Void cheated or whatever, I was like, because APX Void's one of my favorite streamers. I watch him quite often, and I was like, no way. Like, there's of all the people, like, no way. So, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed, and I understand that, in the reporting world, you want to be like cutting edge, you want to be getting the scoops and whatever, but it's really unfortunate that this article came out so far ahead of when he was actually ready to talk about it. And I think part of that is on the reporter, part of that is on Blizzard in general, because like I say, their administrative blog is very much like player name, rule violation, and consequences. It's there's no explanation, there's no evidence, there's no nothing. It's just, this is what they did. And so I think the whole thing was really unfortunate. But like I said, the outpouring from the community has been very positive, which I think is a good thing. APX Void has gotten a lot of support from, not only us, but also, like other players, other like casters, and just pretty much everyone's weighing in and saying like, dude, this really sucks. We're really sorry. We're on your side. Like, we know it was a mistake. So he's kind of come back around to like, okay, it's not actually the end of my career. It just kind of felt like it for 24 to 48 hours. But, like I was, like I said, in the stream last night, and everyone was being really supportive of him. And he was, by the end of it, joking around. And
they're also all saying, though, that the punishment is absolutely fair, that the disqualification from the tournament was what's supposed to happen. What's not supposed to happen is the vilifying of the player after the fact, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We should all just be waiting. This is not whatever. I can't remember the region, but the guy stream sniping during HCG. This is not
Taiwan. That was Taiwan. Yeah, that was April.
Yeah, it's not like malicious cheating. This is like an honest mistake by a player who did something he shouldn't have done. Like, you probably shouldn't. This is a learning experience for all pro Hearthstone players or wannabe pro Hearthstone players. Don't type anything into the actual client chat that is involved, like something like that, because the Hearthstone chat is actually not great. Like, it would be nice if there was multiple windows and you could definitely see who you were talking to, but if you hit enter and start typing, it's going to go to the last person you typed to, and that's essentially what happened here. Is the last person you typed to was that, and so
Well, I don't even think it's the last person that you type to. I think it's the last person that like messaged you.
Oh,
is
it
the one
messaged
that-
you either. Yeah, either way.
messaged you. Yeah,
The
so
last
it's
person
not
that
even like
there was communication with. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think actually, and Dills, you're bringing it up, but I think I also saw a post from, I believe it was War Control, and I 100% agree with him, is that if anything, I feel like this incident highlighted a lot of the problems inherent in the Hearthstone client. And I mean, you can tournament mode all day, but the thing is, the way it works when you are actually competing at the remote events is that because you have to be spectated, that means that you can't set yourself to busy. And that busy was supposed to be the thing that was like going to fix the like hi mom issues with the players getting messages and stuff. And
Oh my God, how old is this?
Right?
Yeah.
So Boar Control was actually saying that he often, when he's playing and you're you're one of like the backup streamers, like the backup matches, he says you have to enable spectating and you have to make it so that you're no longer busy. And by doing that, he said like he constantly has messages popping up or has to boot people out of spectating because he doesn't want to get accused of cheating, basically. And it's just the way that the Hearthstone client is built, it makes it very, very easy for these kind of misunderstandings or mistakes to happen. And sometimes, like in the case of when you're in one of the backup stream matches, it's totally out of your control because you have to let the administrator spectate, which means you have to open it up for your entire friends list. Like, what are they going to do? Say you have to delete your entire friends list before going into an HCT event? Like, that's a little ridiculous. So unless they start providing people with like competitive accounts that don't have anyone friended except for the administrator, then, you know, like that is a possible fix. But another possible fix would be fix your damn client.
Another friggin' annoying possible fix, because yeah, you'd have to import all your 4 decks before it would just slow down matches. It's
So I mean,
and also this is a, you know, yeah, they're playing from like certain locations, but you can't run, you know, any online tournament that way, right? Like you just
yeah.
The best way is to have a tournament client where then you the admin can and certain other people already have spectator permissions and nobody else does. That's the way to do it. And then
When you're in a tournament, then you can't get messages from people outside of the tournament, or you have like a lobby with your a lobby
only
with
your opponent.
Your opponent. Thank you. I was like your competitor, but yeah, your opponent. Like that's the kind of thing that you need if you want to then enforce rules like basically what happened to APX Void. Like it makes it very difficult to take rulings like this seriously, I think, when I'm like, yeah, but if you just fixed your shit, then we wouldn't have this problem. So who's this on? Because I kind of think it's Blizzard.
Well, the problem is dogs and cats are running the show. So.
Yeah. Did we want to just move on? Like, am I getting too ranty? I'm sorry.
No, I mean I'm with you, but it's like again, there's so much is changing next year. Who knows? But we know we're still having a bunch of open tournaments. But like, are they going to be broadcasted? I don't know. So much of this.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you do that? Because you could just have 3 friends sitting behind you in these open online qualifier tournaments, and is that cheating? And what's cheating? What's not cheating? What's you know?
Yeah. Well, and it becomes a lot about like what's enforceable as well. Because another thing that I know happens at a lot of tournaments, because I mean, in an ideal world, you would have like one in-person administrator standing over top of the 2 players, because like people, it comes up all the time with like deck lists. It's like players can have the deck list open behind Hearthstone. They just alt tab when no one's looking and they check the deck list and they alt tab back into Hearthstone, and there you go. And it happens all the time. And it's like, technically that's cheating, but there aren't enough admins to watch. And you watch when you're spectating the Hearthstone client. There's no indicator when someone's tabbed out of the Hearthstone client. Like there's just so many issues with cheating or like borderline like rule breaking, that just a lot of things have to do with either Blizzard's administrative support or the client itself. So I really think Blizzard just needs to step up their game when it comes to Hearthstone, because things like this really suck.
Yeah. I personally don't consider the deck list thing cheating, because it's open deck list tournaments. I think what they should just do is just allow freaking deck tracker for everybody. Like it's just stupid. Like if you can write down stuff at DreamHacks, but here you have to track. It's like there's too many differences between everything. It's just like, it's such a small competitive advantage. Like every pro can do it if they need to.
Yeah, unless you're going to lock every player at every tournament in a box in between rounds and not let them talk to each other. Just let them alt tab.
Just let them, just let them look at the list. Yeah.
Yeah, just make things uniform so that we all know what's going to happen in every tournament. Like this, okay, so this year, this is kind of
I think they weren't even allowed to take notes in this tournament. Whereas
in this tournament, like DreamHack allows paper and pencil,
Yeah.
but not Big Tracker.
Yeah.
But okay, so golf this year came out with a bunch of new rules that just got rid of a bunch of old stupid ones where people get penalty strokes because their ball like moved a half a millimeter because the wind blew it, right? And it's just like all this is just dumb. Like, can we just get rid of this and it comes down to the play and not all this super technical outsidey stuff? Because it's not fun for anybody to watch a tournament and then be like, oh, that guy lost because he accidentally hit enter. Like, that's so dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, the Hearthstone play is what matters. It matters to us as the people watching. It should matter to the players. All these little technicalities of when I do this and when I message you and all this kind of stuff. Am I allowed to talk to my teammates? And when am I like this stuff? It's just not what we don't come to watch. We don't come to watch people not make it because of a dumb technicality. So make it less stringent with stuff like that. And yes, you're right. Fix the client. That's also a huge part.
It's pretty long in the tooth now.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah. Well, in the biggest news this week, we know what dogs are working at Team 5 because of the Hearthstone pup date for January 2019. And
finally, a pup date.
Finally. So Kippen doing great work in administrative. I really think Toby needs to be nerfed. Just too much cuteness. The cuteness is OP. I mean, look at that face.
My problem with Toby is just that it's a cat.
Yeah.
Hey, some cats are amazing. Okay, Thrall takes issue with your hatred of cats.
I don't hate cats. I like cats. I used to have a cat.
My issue with all of this is the gross lack of Chihuahua. I think.
Wait, what about Leela?
I think Leela has some Chihuahua in her, or just because
not
her
pure.
Chihuahua adjacent,
or because the ears are back. I might just think there's more dachshund than there actually is. That could just straight up be a pure Chihuahua, as far as I know. Leela, you're adorable. I want to pet you.
Well, I'm all about the mutts anyway. Purebred, so.
Yeah, this was the weirdest and yet happiest post I've seen on the Hearthstone website in a very long time.
Fun. It's just fun.
It is just fun. It is. You know what else is fun? Is keeping yourself well groomed. And our sponsor today will help you do that. Because Harry's Razors is back, sponsoring the
can I shave my dog with a Harry's razor?
I mean,
I mean, if
they've never
probably not advisable.
they've never explicitly told me not to, but that's a lot of hair, man.
That is. I don't think Iggy would stand still long enough anyway.
maybe you could just shave your name and his fur.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to shave his shoulders only.
That would be just the shoulders. Just the shoulders. Wonderful. I mean, how else are you going to give Iggy a I Heart Dills tattoo? Or I Heart Daddy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to shave the shoulder down. Anyways, yeah, Harry's is back sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. And hey, it's the new year. Maybe you're trying something new, whether it's just, staying on top of your facial hair more, or you're trying to save a little money. Did you know that Harry's can save you about $100 a year if you're a regular shaver? Well, if you didn't know that, cool. Now you do. Go check them out, harrys.com/TAC. Also, while you're over there, you can claim the trial offer from Harry's. All three of us use Harry products on ourselves, not our animals. Here, I don't know what you're thinking, Garrett. You and Dills have beards. Yes, well, the hair grows a lot of other places,
Yeah, notice the cheeks completely hairless,
including much further down my neck than I want it to.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with that.
Of course.
Yeah, back of the neck, all that. Yeah,
we know exactly where your brain goes on a regular basis, Jocelyn, because it's also usually where mine goes, and which is why I lead with open-ended innuendo with a lot of the jokes on the show. But seriously, I mean, Harry's is such a long-running sponsor of the show, which also means I've been using them for a long time, because like when we first signed up with them, they're like, here's some samples, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm subscribing. I've been using Harry's Razors nonstop for over a year now. I really enjoy them. I think you will too. and you can try them. You can get that trial set over at harrys.com/TAC right now. It's a $13 value that comes with everything you need for a close and comfortable shave. You get the weighted ergonomic handle. You get a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. I always forget to mention the trimmer blade. I love that thing. I use it like crazy. You also get the rich lathering shave gel and a travel blade cover so you can take it with you. So go check it out. Go redeem your trial set over at harrys.com/TAC. Again, that is harrys.com/TAC to redeem your offer. And let them know that the Angry Chicken sent you, and you'll be supporting the show in the process. So,
by the way, I did the math on it. If all 155 million males in the United States were to save $100 this year on Harry's razors, that'd be $15,500,000,000 saved. You know how many packs of Hearthstone?
do you know how quickly we could fund a better busy option in game?
Yeah, I'm just saying. There's a lot of people, you know. Look,
We can build tournament mode with your razor savings.
ourselves, you guys.
I will put it in a briefcase, multiple briefcases, and show up to the Blizzard gate and be like, "Hi,
Blizzard's front door.
I have a lot of loose cash. I would like
Tournament
to give this
mode, please."
tournament mode, please." And not Ben Brode, Chris Siggety would come down and be like, "This isn't how it works."
It'd be like, "It is now. See my suitcases of money."
Money talks.
Do it.
Money talks, bro.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We thank them for the support. We thank you for going to harrys.com/TAC. Now, let's get into strategy and talk about Mechathune Warlock.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
Justin, you've been wanting to talk about Mechathune Warlock for a long time.
It's fun, man.
You are passionate about the Thune.
Although it has changed a lot since
since we linked it
first
last
version.
week.
Well, yeah, even since last week for sure, because there's been a lot of renewed interest in Mechathunes in general. We were talking about how popular combo decks have been at the big tournaments, so obviously combo decks have become popular on the ladder. But yeah, there was a list that I was playing basically like right after Rastakhan came out, and it's so much different. Like, it didn't use Solarium, it didn't use cheaty ankle biters, it didn't use voodoo dolls. So there's a lot of different things that have happened in this deck over the last month or so while it's evolved.
Yeah, the deck we linked last week was the one that Dog had been playing to get to rank 1 on the ladder, like the previous week. And it was running like Skull of the Minari with Void Lords and stuff to, you know, buy some time and everything. And
yeah,
then
that's
also,
much closer to the original list that I using, although even that list ran voodoo dolls and solariums and stuff. So
and it was and his list was all about so your list was like kind of the first version. This was then the updated thing that Dog started to play, and it was still running like, you know, Loot Hoarder and Novice and like Plated Beetle and Void
it was
Lord.
basically like try to stay alive and draw as fast as you possibly can. Was
but the idea was to stay alive more with things like the Void Lords, right?
Yeah.
It had Blood Reaver Gul'dan and everything like that.
Yes. It had Gul'dan too. Yeah.
Yeah. But now the list that has become the most popular and is the winningest, and is actually the one Dog ended up bringing to HCT this last weekend, is this new list that is running Glacial Shard, Wax Elemental, Cheeky Ankle Biter. It's a Corpse Taker package. It's just that, like, when I first saw this list, I was like, how does this work? And I played a bunch of it last week, and it all makes total sense because this deck, it still cycles really quickly. And there's some really interesting techs that were not initially obvious to me when I looked at the list, right? Obviously, when you immediately look at Ankle Biter, you're like, what? Ankle Biter's in a deck?
I'm raising my hand for audio listeners. I would like to know what's going on with Ankle Biter because I don't have a lot of experience with this list.
It's so friggin' good in this deck, though. So there's a couple. So first of all, the Mulligan. I mean, this is the list that I would recommend. Is the Ankle Biter, Corpse Taker.
Yeah, and so for our listeners out there, we have links to all of this in the show notes over at amove.tv/TAC. The first link is the one that Dills is now talking about. We also have the previous most popular list, which we're referencing if you want to check that out. But yeah, I'm just going to keep this up on screen for the
And then
visual
there's
aid.
also a link if you want to see some examples of gameplay. I put a link of just me playing 2 games with it on the ladder, both that came down to the wire, so you could kind of see like how intense this list can be when you play.
I feel like, yeah, that happens to me a lot with this list. Is it comes down to like, okay, I just need one more turn, and you know, I might have just enough health in order to actually play the combo. Because that's the other thing, like, if you get yourself down to 4 health, then you're just dead. So,
Well, you can get a tie.
yeah, you could get a tie. That's true. You can
So
get a tie.
I will say this though: this list is not necessarily built for. So ladder, you're going to run up against a lot of things like, you know, a lot of the poor matchups like the hunters and the even locks, and you know, just the tempo style aggro-y decks, and that's not really what this deck is meant to beat. This deck is meant to beat other combo decks because you combo faster than they do. Right, you're just
And also
life
odd
path
warrior,
and all this
or
stuff.
just warrior that's control and gaining a lot of armor.
You beat all the warriors, every
Yeah.
warrior. That's like 100%. You'll beat all the OTK paladins unless they have the Shirvala package with the Holy Wrath,
Holy
which
Wrath.
sometimes they can't get to that in time either, right? Like they have to still like draw their whole deck baleful, then Holy Wrath to 100% guarantee it. But you will get to your Megathune before they get to like 4 of the horsemen, right? So like it's faster than that. It's definitely faster than any other Mechathune option out there, I think, which right now is only really Druid, or I guess Priest.
Priest,
But you still just get there so fast. So it's kind of built for that. And if the Paladins become huge on the ladder, which I think they might after this last tournament, this is going to be a good ladder deck. That said, I climbed with it. I mean, I had a winning record with the deck. It's just you're going to have a lot of stressful games for sure. So yeah,
Guitar in the chat room is also saying you can't tie with this deck because you can't cast Blood Bloom if it's going to kill you.
Oh, that's
which
true.
is what I thought, which I wasn't sure because I've never.
No, it ties. It does tie because no, you cast Blood Bloom. Blood Bloom doesn't cost you health. It's the Cataclysm. That costs you.
Yeah.
It still ties. Yeah,
I thought it would let you cast.
I think if you have exactly, that's right. If you have exactly 4, it won't let you cast it. Is that what it is?
I think so.
I've seen a tie with it though. At some point, I saw a tie with it at some point but maybe it was a different way. Maybe it was like a fatigue thing or something like that. But anyway, I haven't personally had one, so I can't like say yes, I've definitely done it. But so anyway, the mulligan is against control. You just go for draw, right? So just Acolyte, Novice, Kobold. Against aggro, it's Defile, Coil, Spellstone, all of your kind of removal spells. And Spellstone is like the other way to gain health outside of like Ziliax and Ankle Biter. Yes, gains you health, but it's 1, right? So it's not really your health gain option in the deck. But what Ankle Biter does do is it allows for really nice Defile setups, right? Because the Ankle Biter itself is your 1 health guy. Then you can use the ping to get something else to 2. And then oftentimes you can find like the 3, 4, 5, all that kind of stuff. So it really sets up sweet Defiles.
I actually like it for Spellstone reasons more than anything else, because if you don't, like you have your Kobold Librarians, but you don't have like Hellfires. So in order to actually upgrade your Spellstones, you don't really have a lot of ways to do that. So I like having that flexibility with the Ankle Biter.
Well, it's got, I put there's 4 things basically that it does, which is like weird because you look at it. But it's for that. You can ping your own acolytes, and it's buffing your Corpse Taker.
Yeah.
So it's got a bunch of utility in this deck. And yeah, I've used it to upgrade my Spellstones many, many times. It's awesome for that. But it's crazy that a card like this that's in no other deck is so freaking good in this one deck. It just does everything, right? Corpse Taker is, and also, you can ping your own Voodoo Doll. Yeah, just self-pings. Any kind of self-ping you need, it's there. It's another ping package, right? Also, the Corpse Taker package gives you a lot more heal than you previously had. Like double Spellstones plus the Corpse Taker plus the Ziliax oftentimes means you will be able to last long enough to get your combo off. And then there's some differences between, some options. So like you can decide between either ooze or things like that. But most of the packages
before we go into card options, I just want to say one more thing about the mulligan, because sometimes with combo decks, Dills is so mad at me for derailing him. He got up and left. But what I did want to say about the mulligan is oftentimes in combo decks, you might want to keep a piece But this is one of those decks, and I think it's probably true for all Mecha'thun decks. You never want to keep any of your combo pieces off the mulligan, because the whole entire point of your deck is to draw your way to the bottom anyways. So you will get them, and you can't cast them until it's the last thing you're going to do in the game. So there's absolutely no point in keeping combo pieces. Get rid of them. Get all your other tools first.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. It makes it so unique in the in the whole grand pantheon of combo decks.
Sorry, I derailed you.
Well, you're right. Like the combo, anytime you're playing Mecha'thun, the combo is not, it's a 4-card combo. It's a 30-card combo.
Yeah.
And you always have to think of it that way. You can't be like, I need these exact cards. Like you're going to get them.
Yeah, your deck is the cards.
The deck is the combo.
The deck is the cards. That's the next level wisdom you get here at the Angry Chicken.
Yeah. The combo is not like people always talk. In Priest, it's 5-card combo. No, it's 30-card combo. I personally throw back every combo piece, but there are times when like if I know I'm against Warrior, I can keep Mecha'thun, I can keep Galvanizers, because those, if they are in the very bottom of my deck, they suck.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather have things that just say draw on them in most cases, right?
Yeah.
I know I need to draw my deck, so it doesn't, to me, ultimately it doesn't really matter, because I will get those. I have to draw the whole deck. So also
go back to card tech options. I apologize.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, basically the only real card tech options are, which ooze do you want to run, or do you want to run ooze at all, right? Like I think right now ooze is just in a pretty good spot, because there's
with all the paladins.
There's enough weapon-based things. Yeah, the paladins you can get rid of, the lifesteal weapon from Uther, you can get rid of True.
Well, yeah, because I think every paladin deck is playing a weapon, because even the more aggressive versions play Vine Cleaver. So you're probably going to eventually get some use out of an ooze anyways. Like Tyrion's in some decks, then Uther.
It just helps you not die, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to die. I personally took out one of the Acolytes because I found the Acolytes were a little awkward, especially when they were late. So there's a lot of situations where you get to the bottom of the deck, right? You got like 4 cards left, and or you also have like a large hand, right? Like I have 8 cards. Like I can't play this Acolyte because my opponent might then force me to overdraw an important combo piece, right?
Yeah.
So I found Acolyte is a really important card, but it was also in a lot of situations an unplayable card in my hand. And also there's a lot of situations where you get to the very end, and if you play Acolyte, you end up taking a bunch of fatigue you don't want to take, and then you don't have the health to do your combo, right? Or it just allows them to get that last bit of damage in. So, I think that 1 Acolyte is correct. You can obviously take 2 if you're finding that you're not drawing through the deck fast enough. But I preferred having the second Voodoo Doll because I was running up in the ladder against enough even locks that I had to kill those damn giants. And the other classes, like there's a lot of situations where Defile will kill 3 small things and then 1 large thing will live, and I need that to also die, right? So I found the second Voodoo Doll to be pretty important. Outside of that, everything else is in this particular list is pretty core. It's like there's a couple options there, but like you're definitely running double Corpse Taker. You're definitely running, the Ziliax and the Godfrey and all the other stuff. So it's like those are kind of where your room to do your own thing is. But outside of that, and the Solarium, you cannot take out. That card is just friggin' insane.
Yeah, so that's the tech card, or I guess it's not even a tech card, but it's the card that wasn't in the original version that I was playing, that when I first saw it, even more than Ankle Biter, I was like, why would I want to do this? Because I can't, like, if it draws me Mecha'thun, then I'm screwed.
Yeah, you don't use it until you
so that's the thing about Solarium is you have to be careful when you use it, and if you make sure that you do it after you've got your combo pieces, then it basically just takes 3 cards out of your deck, and if they're useful in your turn, great. If they're not, they get discarded, but you don't care anymore because you've got all your combo pieces anyways. So
it's just to get to the end of the deck. Like
it's to speed up your getting to your combo.
But I had many games too where I was like, okay, I have everything, and there's 4 cards left in my deck, and one of them is my my last Galvanizer, and I'm just like, I know I'm going to need to try to win this game here. I'm just gonna Solarium, and 75% of the time I get the Galvanizer, right?
Which you then
And-
can just play out. So it's basically like, you just have to make sure that you don't, that your combo piece that's left aren't your spells or your Mecha'thun, but if it's your
It can't be
Galvanizer.
Megathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so useful because there's also like I had mini games where I drew all the combo stuff early, and I was like, okay, well now I just got to get to the end of my deck, and so I just throw that out, Solarium, and just throw out 3 cards. So it's just that's what speeds it up faster than all the other Mechathune stuff. So I think it's a really fun deck, but playing it, I played like a 15 game sesh, and at the end of the session,
Did you just say sesh?
yeah, short session. And at
Judge
the
his
end of
shorthand.
that, I was like mentally drained because
Yeah.
every turn you're thinking about hand size, deck size, health totals, board,
What
defile
they're trying
math,
to do,
Godfrey
like, can
math.
you die? Yeah.
Combo pieces left, combo pieces currently. It's just there's so many. Every single turn you're monitoring like 6 things, and usually when you play like a tempo deck, you're monitoring one thing, which is their health total and your board, right? And it's just there's a lot less going on. And this deck requires you to. But the more I played it, the kind of more used to it I got, and then it was just the turns became a little more natural, right? There's a lot of really fun things you can do. Like I had a turn where I think I had 8 cards or something, but I could set up a really cool Acolyte Defile, but I had to then get 2 cards out of my hand before that. So then I would go exactly to 9. And there's all these things where you do it and you just feel so proud of yourself. Like, look at me, I figured it out.
That's why I like this deck so much, is that when you make good plays, they feel like really good plays. Like it's not it's green, I have that much mana, I'm just gonna play Lich King. Like it does very much feel like it's super satisfying when you win. It's super satisfying just throughout the game when you make really good plays to make it so that you don't die. And it just, it
feels like you earned it, right?
It does feel like you earn it. It does. And it's super powerful because I like that you basically just have to worry about, like, you don't have to worry about your opponent's health, which I really like. So then the game becomes board control and like what that actually looks like. And it's almost like a different way of thinking about Hearthstone that I really enjoy. It's not just like, I have to hit your face for 30 points of damage or, 120 points of damage if you're an odd warrior. Like, I don't have to worry about your health. I just have to worry about what the board state looks like and that it is favoring me and not you. And I think that's fun.
But also what's weird about that is actually you will never have board control. You are always just making sure they don't. Yeah. Like you don't just be like, hey, I got 5 minions on the board, I'm winning. It's like, it's just, And the only time you ever kind of have the board is when you put a Corpse Taker down and you're like, aha, 2 attacks to get through. I gained 6. Yeah, you're right. It's like, it's never about their health. It's about your health and their board and your cards and your deck size. It's pretty crazy.
I just love that Corpse Taker just appears to have been this card from Frozen Throne that's just like, you will not forget about me. I'm gonna start popping up in decks again right before the standard rotation.
It's just a really strong. Well, it's Ziliax is what's making it so dang good, right? Because Ziliax just gives it all the things in one card. So yeah, Ziliax really made that card shine, but it shines in a lot of places.
Yep, and it's not just from the Divine Shield that it gets.
Nope. It's a shiny beast. By the way, next week we're gonna go away from OTK decks and we're gonna go towards fun and maybe not viable decks, which is gonna be Kragwa Evolve Shaman. I think we've been talking about these OTK things for long enough, and it's time to just throw something in there that's just for the funsies, because I know there's a lot of people listening to the show who are, in the lower ranks and don't really care about getting to rank 5 or rank legend or whatever. So Kragwa Evolve Shaman. You can evolve a bunch of things, then Kragwa the next turn and get all those unstable evolutions back. So really, really cool, interesting deck. Kibler's been playing a ton of it on his stream, and talk about his version and maybe some other options for how to build it as well. Should be fun.
I'm very ready to not do an OTK deck.
Yeah, me too.
I'm ready. I'm ready for something a little quicker.
Well, and also there's a lot of decks that are still things that we talked about, and we could talk about them again, but it's like, oh, there's 2 card differences now than there was. It's so that seems like kind of a waste of time. So this is something brand new that may or may not be cool, or may or not be good, but is definitely cool.
Come on, we talked about OTK Pally, we talked about Clone Priest, we talked about Mechathune Warlock. We've been talking about decks that win games for 3 weeks straight. Let's have a little fun. I need some frogs in my life.
Hell yeah.
Praise Cragwa. Before we move into crazy game stories, I want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. It's not just to get your taco access early. It's also to support the show. And also give you more ways to talk to us. It gives you access to the Angry Chicken Discord server. If your Discord account is hooked up to Patreon, you will automatically be added to it. So come join us, ask questions in there, guest suggestions. We have an entire chat channel just for asking questions about decks and decks that we announce that we're going to cover on strategy. So if you have questions about Kragwa Evolve Shaman, get in there and let us know what you want us to talk about next week. Anyways, some of our new patrons we want to thank. We want to thank Lane J, Daniel L, and Cinia H. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Again, it's patreon.com/TAC. It's the best way to support the show. We very much appreciate it, everybody. Now let's see what we've got as far as crazy game stories.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com or go ahead and drop them on the Patreon Discord if you want. Alexis writes in this week and says, "Greeting frenzied farm fowls. I just had a crazy game story I thought you would enjoy. I was running an odd druid deck that seemed fun for a quest when I queued up against Hunter. By turn 2, it seemed clear it was a secret hunter. By turn 8, Subject 9 came in, and next turn was followed by 4 secrets. Planning around it, I waited and built a board to deal with it all at once, leaving a damaged Undasta and a Witchwood Grizzly. What came next took me by surprise, however. The hunter played Tundra Rhino, followed by the one, the only, Gurubashi Chicken. He then used Bestial Wrath, +2 and immune, not once but twice. Then the Beast Within, +1/+1 and attack random enemy, killing my Undasta and getting to 11 attack. Then he uses the second Beast Within to kill my Grizzly. By this point, the mighty chicken is bloodthirsty and at 16 or so attack, axing me in the face, leaving me bruised and baffled at 4 health. However, I managed to survive and kill it with Ziliax. My opponent conceded after with no card in hand and surely saddened that his mighty plan came so close, yet so far. I rejoiced, still baffled that I was almost chicken dinner myself."
I love that story.
That's amazing. That's so good. Alexis, thank you for writing it. I hope your opponent listens. I hope your opponent listens to being like, "Hey, that was me." So that, I don't know, maybe you used a thanks emote. Like, I hope that your opponent's listening is like, "Oh, that was a legitimate thanks for like the really cool game and the Gurubashi Chicken because no one ever sees it. It was sincere."
So I give a shout out to playing Odd Druid. For you.
Yeah. Alexis, tweet at TAC Podcast with a deck list, please, because I know someone's going to ask for it.
By the way, Odd Druid can run Wild Growth now.
Yes.
Such a buff.
Yes, they can.
I'm just glad someone made a deck that made or attempted to make Gurubashi Chicken work. I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Who thinks that 1/1 should ever get overkill? Like, that's amazing.
It just sounds like a HelloFresh recipe. Like, oh, I'm going to make some Gurubashi Chicken tonight. Yeah. Anyways, keep those crazy game stories coming. attackpodcast@gmail.com. Now let's take some questions before we wrap this up.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place. It's attackpodcast@gmail.com. Stu writes in and says, "Greetings. I have been playing Hearthstone for close to a year now, and with the help of your podcast, I feel I am finally making progress on the ladder. I have one question. Zoo Warlock is filled with demons and random monsters, but it's called Zoo. Midrange Hunter is filled with animals, and it's called Midrange. Can't we rename Midrange Hunter to Zoo since the deck is an actual zoo? Most deck names are very clear, but being still new to the game, a quick primer on unusual deck names will be helpful." Zoo actually came from Magic. Reynad brought it over.
As many things do.
Yeah. Yeah, Zoo came from Magic. Raynad brought it over and coined the phrase back in, I believe, beta when I'm trying to remember the movie I saw. This was so many years ago, but I remember I was coming out of a movie at my local theater, and Dills is like blowing up my text with, "Mother effers are playing Shield Bearer and owning face in tournaments. What's happening?" And I was like, "Oh, weird." And then got home, found out about this deck called a Zoo Lock, and there's been periods of time where it's been less popular, but it's really never gone away for pretty much the entire history of Hearthstone.
It's kind of funny. It's literally the only deck really that's been around since the beginning in some iteration, and the cards in it change, but the archetype has just all the way since beta has been around and just chugging away.
Yeah.
I would say Miracle Rogue, because Miracle Rogue
close.
is still kind of here. By the way, Miracle comes from Magic as well.
Yes.
There's an actual mechanic in Magic called Miracle, where if you drew it, you could play a card. If you drew it on that turn, you could play it for its Miracle cost, which would then be like cheaper than its base cost, right? But yeah, the original Zoo Magic deck was just, it had like, because in Magic there's, giraffes and turtles and alligators and dragons and all these things. And apparently the original Zoo deck in Magic was just all the creatures had different types, and there was not creature synergy. It was just base stat synergy. It was just like, I play the biggest base stat minion I can on each turn, right? And so Raynad just kind of adopted it to the Hearthstone thing, because that was the idea of Zoo, is I just keep playing minions and I'm just kind of putting the most stats on the board as I can every turn, right? And I use the minions to then buff the other minions on the board. By the way, when he created it and called it Zoo, it wasn't a brand new archetype. The first I'd ever heard of the deck, which I think, because I played it in a lot of early tournaments, I was just calling it like mid-range Warlock. But it was, it was very similar. Christopher was the first person that I remember like playing this deck a lot, and that was in like early beta. And basically it was, I play a 1-drop, then a 2-drop, then a 3-drop, and then when I run out of cards, I tap. It's the idea, and it's always going to be around because tapping is always going to be really good, right? So
yeah.
But there's a lot of things like names like that just kind of transferred over from Magic, which is obviously the biggest existing card game in the world. So.
Yep. I've also included some links in here for you, Stu, if you want to head over to move.tv/TAC and pull up the show notes. There's a post called A History Lesson on Zoo, which talks about Naya Zoo over on the MTG Salvation forums. It's actually very informative. So if you want to learn about Naya Zoo, which was the original MTG Zoo deck, you can go look at that.
There's a lot of weird names that people come up with, right? Like, that they're calling that new control shaman Peanut Shaman.
Yeah, sometimes even I get super confused, because I feel like Hearthstone has done a pretty good job of just like naming decks around what they do. Like Clone Priest has Cloning Gallery. It's quite obvious that like Taunt Druid puts up a bunch of taunts, like a lot of them, or they're named after the key card, like Mecha'thun. I feel like in general, I get it. But then every once in a while, something comes around and someone calls it Peanuts. And I'm like, what? Please tell me at least there's like a player named Peanut who first made the deck. I don't know.
Sometimes that's why. Yeah. Sometimes somebody came up with it.
Sometimes it's a player name. Yeah.
But
chat room saying it's because it's the nuts.
It's not.
I definitely didn't get that.
Not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times, like somebody just kind of comes up with a name, and then it just gets coined when a caster says it or something like that. Like that, people are calling it, or HS Replay is calling what a lot of people are calling Hybrid Hunter. They're still calling it Secret Hunter, where technically it's just some secrets and then a bunch of other stuff that's not secret related, right? So that you kind of just go with it. Someone comes up with it, calls it something, and then everyone just says, okay, sure, as long as I can identify what the hell it is. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, Stu. Kind of arbitrary.
Yeah.
But I definitely had the same question when we started playing. I'm like, why don't we call Hunter decks Zoo decks? Because they're literally full of animals. So that made sense to me. So I understand where the question comes from, for sure.
I mean, if anything, I want to call them Stable Hunters, because that's where I keep my pets in World of Warcraft.
Makes sense.
Yeah. As for mid-range, it's just the type of deck it is. It's like you got so aggro, mid-range, control, which is like your 3 base archetypes regardless of class. So that's why mid-range hunter is called that. Also, I guess I would add tempo into that. So there's kind of
I
your
think
4
tempo
basic.
and mid-range are sometimes interchangeable.
And yeah, at times, but yeah. So that's kind of what's going on there. Yeah, zoo has nothing to do really with the animals, although even when I was going through the history lesson on zoo on MTG Salvation, there were people in comments like, "Hey, don't forget there were actual like animal creatures, and that's also kind of why we started calling it zoo. It wasn't just because it was a random assortment of tribes that didn't matter." So yeah, but it's an interesting read. Go check it out.
By the way, I just looked up why it's called Peanut Shaman, because someone asked him in an interview what the deck is called, and he said, "Oh, it should have a name." Someone said Peanut. I think it's a good name. So, okay, it's Peanut.
In other words,
And then I think Admirable then said it's the nuts thing during the tournament. But yeah, Viper is the one who came up with the deck. Anyway,
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah.
Wonderful.
He totally strikes me as a person with a personality who would just be like, I have to knit what? Oh,
Yeah.
fine.
He just looks around the room.
Yeah.
I'm lucky it didn't get called like stapler shaman or something.
Lamp paladin.
Lamp paladin.
Well, it's because they're glowing. They emit so much light, right? Like you start reading into it too much. Yep, it'd be good.
Ridiculous.
But
He should have called it Weather Shaman. It rains lava, and it rains healing.
You're just looking around the room.
I don't know. I'm looking around the room. Yeah.
Just looking around the room, saying whatever you look at. We have another question, actually from the patron Discord. Who's this from, Jocelyn?
This one comes to us from Hidden Jester, as Garrett said, over on the Patreon Discord, and he says, "I just got the dungeon run quest, Spelunker, and I'll knock it off for a free for a free pack. No worries there. But I got to thinking, it's super weird that the one repeatable single-player daily quest is from a set that rotates to Wild when Year of the Raven ends. I can understand why there's no Boomsday quest for doing puzzles, but why didn't Team 5 replace Spelunker with a Monster Hunt quest for Witchwood or a Rumble run now that Rosticon's is out? Any thoughts on why this quest didn't get removed or updated to the latest set? And will it get pulled when standard rotates and Kobolds and Catacombs isn't even in standard anymore?" So as far as I know, you must just have terrible luck, because I think there are Monster Hunt and Rumble quests in there too.
I haven't seen the Rumble one.
I haven't seen a Rumble one, but
No?
I have seen Monster Hunt ones.
I still get Monster. Yeah, I definitely get Monster Hunt and Spelunker, but I've never seen the Rumble one. I don't think it exists because I have 3 accounts, and I probably would have seen it by now.
Yeah, I don't. It's usually in the patch notes when they put new quests in, and I think you guys are right. I don't remember a Rumble Run quest.
I don't think they added one.
Definitely remember the Monster Hunt one, because I remember the whole you couldn't re-roll it thing, and I was like, I'm never gonna do this, not even for a pack. So can I please just re-roll this quest?
You can re-roll them now.
You can now, yeah.
The original versions were like just to get you to play it through the first time, right? But now it's 3. They're both the same. You beat 3 Monster Hunt monsters or 3 Dungeon Run monsters, and you get a pack. So I do these all the time on my other accounts because it's a pretty easy pack, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
You can literally like retire a thing and then start from the beginning and beat the 3 easiest ones in like 10 minutes. So yeah. I get kind of happy when I see them, right?
I just don't want to spend any playtime in single player other than puzzles, because I feel like all the other run things have just been not my jam, and I don't want them to keep doing them. So,
but it's essentially, if you think about it, it's essentially 100 gold quests. So I always do them because I'm just like, even on my main account, I still would like to open golden or classic legendary.
I know.
So I always do.
I think I'm trying to send a message, but no one's paying attention.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. But yeah, this is like when you're like the guy who's recycling is so intense that they're even like peeling the plastic off of the outside of like ice cream containers so they can recycle the paper underneath and stuff. And you're like, okay, what's wrong with this? But
I'm doing so much.
It's such an oddly specific comparison, Dill.
You don't have any friends who are just like super recyclers where
I don't. How would you be made aware of that? Do they talk about it? Are they that into it, or do you hang out with your friends while they're sorting their recycling? I have so many questions.
I've seen people do it. or like they have a compost pile in their backyard and all that kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, you live in Austin, man. It's you bunch of freaking hippies
from
out
San
there.
Francisco, and I live in Austin. Sure.
Yeah.
You're from Florida, where everyone still just like burns their trash.
It's worked fine for you. Actually, we have a very good recycling program.
Yeah. But the comparison is like, really, the environment is being harmed by big corporations, and not like a single dude is gonna say, you know what I mean? But it's honorable, the work you're doing, Justin.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm
not-
glad someone appreciates it.
I'm not against you, Joss. I don't care enough. I'm like, some people like it. Cool. It's not for me. I'm really bored by it. They haven't changed it enough, so I'm not gonna play it. I'm also not gonna orchestrate like a major protest.
You're not gonna go strike.
Oh no, I am protesting. I am protesting so hard. I'm re-rolling pack quests.
By the way, if they were to give me a Rastakan's Rumble Beat 3 Rumble bosses, I would just do that too. But it would be the only way that I would play Rastakan's Rumble right now. I'm not going to click that single player content unless there is a legit incentive that is a pack. I have no other reason to click that.
And I would expect that once standard rotates, the quests will probably rotate too, right?
They have to at least get rid of the kobold stuff, right?
Yeah.
I hope
I would
so.
think
Oh, actually, they have to get rid of. Would they?
Well, do
the
they
other
have
one-
to? Because the game modes are still going to be playable, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, the other
Yeah.
one that you won't be able to like buy those packs in this. Yeah, actually, I guess it wouldn't really matter. They could keep them as long as they wanted, as long as they allow them to still be playable.
Yeah, as
So,
long as you can still play the modes.
when they're not in the
Well, yeah,
standard,
because it doesn't
rotation,
have.
it's weird to
But it
still have
doesn't.
them.
Those single players don't have anything to do with the
Yeah, like the
Card- with your
adventures and
card
stuff
collection.
where you couldn't buy them.
card collection. So I mean, if it doesn't have to do with your card collection, if you can just go in and play and pick cards,
Yeah.
then it shouldn't really matter about the standard rotation. Then I
To
guess.
be honest, it's like a non-issue to me. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
put them in or don't put them in. I don't care.
Yeah. Yep. Keep the emails coming. tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, drop some questions in the Discord. And now let's get off topic for a second because so many of you tweeted at us about onions last week.
Got a lot of onion experts out there.
So many. I've only picked two. One I think is the first one I saw, and another one was just confirming something I was curious about.
By the way, it's funny to me how often when we go off topic, it's the thing that ignites the most like feedback.
Oh yeah, we talk Hearthstone and we get like 10 emails. We talk about onions, we get like 500.
do we
Yeah.
break through? I remember a time when people got really angry when we get off topic, and now I feel like people actually get more excited when we get off topic.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's off topic right off the start of the show, ticks people off. But if it's at the end, they can just turn it off because it's at the end of the show.
Fair. Fair. Anyway, at the Final Refuge wrote us on Twitter to clear the air of onion gas and said, hey, just started culinary class, so here's a photo explaining why onions make you cry. And basically says that one of the best ways to avoid the fumes of chopped onions is simply lean back, lean away from your
Get
knife.
your face out of the onion.
Burning lean while you cut them onions. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, it says that the best way of doing this is to stand straight while chopping and move your head back, letting the vapors pass in front of your eyes instead of directly into them.
Ah.
My question about that though is if I mime this out, I feel like I'm then not looking at myself chopping with a knife.
Oh yeah, you'll totally lose fingers, but you won't be crying.
No, I
So-
don't think it means look up at the sky.
Oh no,
Well,
it's
no, but if I lean my head back, then I'm like tilting down. That's uncomfortable. I'd rather just cry.
No, I think if you're just thinking about it in just a like draw a line straight up from the onion, is your
Sure, just
head
stand
intersecting
back.
with it?
Yeah.
If yes, move your head. No, you're fine. Keep cutting.
Well, so what I do too, somebody else also talked about the airflow in the room. Like if I put on my oven's little fan, it tends to be fine. And also, yeah, like using a really sharp knife always seemed to be fine too.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep my onions in the fridge so they're always cold when I'm.
There you go. Yeah, apparently the coldness
Cold helps
affects it,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Answer Shock kind of confirmed that. Said, was just listening to the show. Paused to say, yes, cold onions or cutting them under cold water both help with the crying since chemicals vaporize more efficiently at higher temperatures. Water also helps contain the vapor. I've
There
tried
you
the
go.
water thing. I can't stand cutting anything while it's either submerged in water or has water running over it. It drives me crazy. I would rather cry from onion fumes. But
Yeah, my experience has just been the sharper the knife and the more air is flowing in your area, you're fine.
yeah, keep the air flowing in your area when you cut onions.
But I'll try the lean back. I'm just concerned like that I'm
That
gonna be
you'll lose a
uncomfortable
finger.
to look down at that point. But I will give the lean back a try. Sure.
And no joke, we probably got like 12 other tweets and emails about onions that I didn't include. So thank you, everybody. And
Now stop. We're done.
Yeah, we understand onions now.
now,
Next topic.
We have been educated.
Tomato, potato. Who says potato? Nobody
don't
says
know.
potato.
No,
That's stupid.
the next topic is going to be recycling and maintaining
Feeling-
a
Yes.
compost.
Peeling plastic.
Maintaining your own compost. Yeah, that's going to be the next topic that
I'm
comes
sure.
in next week. I'm surprised we didn't get anyone writing about Walking Dead because that also came up last week.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Let me tell you
Hey, by the
about.
way, if you watch the new Punisher, oh my god, it's so good.
The first season is, I think, my favorite Marvel Netflix show ever.
Have you watched
Still
the new one
haven't
yet?
finished it.
Oh, it's so good. I just started season 2. I watched the first episode.
Okay.
I thought it was just out of this world good. I can't wait to
Yeah.
watch more.
You
But
got, there's one thing you're going to have to get past that's going to be kind of annoying to you. But if you just don't worry about that one thing,
is it
it's all so good.
is it the girl?
No.
Okay, because I'm not 100% on board for her yet, but I feel like there's a lot of room to have fun with these two characters interacting with one another. So I'm giving
There's
it
a lot happens.
the benefit
Yeah,
of the doubt.
if you're only a couple seasons in, you are very early on. There's
You
a lot.
mean episodes? Yeah, there's only 2 seasons, so if I'm a couple seasons in, I'm done. And I'm
Oh,
pretty
sorry,
sure
couple episodes.
I'm pretty sure like tomorrow they're gonna announce that Punisher's canceled. So I'm pretty sure it's the end of the Punisher.
Please don't.
So
If they keep one show on Netflix for Marvel, it's just this one.
yeah. Well, also, they haven't officially canceled Jessica Jones either. So I'm just like, are we getting another? I haven't actually. I haven't looked it up. I don't know. Have they? Because I feel Punisher. I just seemed like, oh, they were just too far along. They finished it up. We're getting it. Have they already started production on another season of Jessica Jones? Is that why we haven't heard that it is also canceled?
I don't know. I'm not up on all those things. I'm just excited the Punisher is here.
It's weird. Also, I finally finished the Haunting of Hill House, and that show is incredible.
That was really good.
Holy crap!
Did you guys find it hard to get started? Because that's my only issue.
Yes.
The first 2 episodes were difficult for me to get
I
through.
really liked the first 2. I actually thought the last 2 were a little more difficult than everything that
I'll
preceded
give it
it.
another go because I've heard a lot of good things, but I was like struggling after
Yeah.
the first one to want to start the second one. So.
Yeah. Yeah, the second to last
Keep
to me.
it going. It gets
yeah.
super.
Okay. All right. I'm
Yeah.
in. You
And I
can-
like it because it has a really good balance of like shocking jump scare moments, but then also really interesting people moments.
I like
the-
creepy horror rather than jump
Yeah.
scare horror. So
It's kind of a
There-
combination of both.
Oh, sure.
There are some real
Gary's
serious
looking at
jump
me like,
scares.
okay, then you'll love this.
There was a jump scare in that series. I won't tell you what episode, but there is a jump scare in one of them that made me almost crap my pants.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I was
I mean, I
so
don't dislike jump scares. I just don't like cheap jump scares.
Oh, I was
in
so angry.
Replacement of a creepiness level.
I was
right?
so
no,
angry. At the
I
show.
find that they did it because I'm the same as you, Dills. I don't like super jump scares. If it's just for the sake of a jump scare, but I felt they did a really good job of kind of spacing them out and being important to the story too.
Yeah, they need to matter. Right?
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
Like I don't like it when it's like, oh, it's just a cat. Like, come on. All right, really?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not like that.
Those never get me. It's always when the thing that is doing the jump scare is also terrifying looking. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like I have this
Exactly.
delayed reality. It's like it's just a cat. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw that coming. But it's
Like
like
spoiler
it's like-
alert, but in Get Out, the jump scare of the guy running at him, like I love that jump scare because then it mattered in the story.
yes,
Right?
yeah, yeah. And the one that made me mad in the Hill House, like afterwards, I thought about it and I was like, that's actually kind of brilliant placement for a jump scare.
Okay, sweet.
Because
I'm convinced.
I was kind of feeling the anger of the ghost in that scene.
All right, and this has been House and other Netflix shows.
Yep, it's fantastic. Everyone should go watch The Haunting of Hill House, even if you don't like scary things, as it's just.
I think we need a tangent bumper.
We
Yeah.
do at the end.
Yeah, an
We just-
off-topic bumper.
Am I allowed to use a record scratch, even though it's kind of an
Sure. There you go, of
irrelevant?
course.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Hold on. I have something here. We could use Pee Wee Herman's word of the day. We could just, at the end of the show, just hit that and be like, all right, all bets are off. What do you guys want to talk about?
Sure.
Let's see. We've got politics, religion, and The Walking Dead.
Let's avoid the politics.
Yeah.
I don't know. At times I feel like discussing The Walking Dead publicly is more inflammatory. But anyways, yeah, it's going to wrap it up for the show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our fun little tangent here at the end. But again, if you like what we're doing, you want to support it, patreon.com/TAC is the best way to do so. Think of it as an opt-in subscription. This show is free. You're getting it for free. But if you would like to give something back for all of the shows that we're putting out, you can decide. $1 an episode, $2, the world is your oyster. Check it out, patreon.com/TAC. Also gives you access to the Discord. It gives you early access, early signups for the Angriest Chicken Open. If you're currently a $2 patron or more, make sure you take a look at the Patreon tomorrow because signups will be going live. They'll go up for all other patrons next week. If you dig the show and you want to help us out, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. That's another way to help the show out. Huge thanks to our producers, by the way, Declan H. and Sean C. Thank you for the support. And you can usually catch us live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Get in the chat room and remind me of card names because it's always the stat with the card effect that does this. That's how I remember cards. But before we go around the table, I want to pimp something for someone who isn't here. Justin Robert Young, who is a friend of the show, also known as Dills' Death Rattle, because usually when Dills can't make the show, Justin fills in for him. He and Brian Brushwood just released a new comedy album. It is on iTunes right now. It's called All's Well, a Night Attack album. I believe it's currently number 3. I think it's the number 3 album on iTunes right now. Not comedy album, just album, period.
Wow.
They recently took over Hamilton soundtrack and the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. So it's like a $2 album, folks. Go support another podcast we're very, very passionate about. And love very much, and go check out the new comedy album from Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood called All's Well, a Night Attack comedy album. Go find it on iTunes. Now, around the table before we leave, Dills, you're doing all sorts of other stuff around the internet. Where can people find you?
Check out twitch.tv/WillieDills, and on Twitter, I am at WillieDills. Give me a follow there. Also, if you like wrestling, 1-900 Wrestling is the show that I do with Lane, and also sometimes Justin Robert Young whenever he can make it. So check that out on all the places where you can find other podcasts.
Sweet. Jocelyn, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. That's JOCE Plays. And I'm going to say just follow me on Twitch for this week because we are starting up with raiding tonight. The new raid has come out in World of Warcraft. So I'm going to be raiding normal this week and then hopefully progressing onto heroic next week. So do check that out.
Let me know if you need a Demon Hunter.
Oh, Demon Hunter now. No more Death Knight?
No. Do you remember how much I hated every decision they made with that class last expansion?
Well, yeah, but it's all new now. No more artifact weapons.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Death Knights are officially dead to
you.
Death
Knights are dead to me. Playing them, lore-wise, I still love them, but yeah. Why work that hard when I could just play a Demon Hunter and enjoy myself?
Actually, I think we have a DK tank, and that's it.
I still love tanking on Death Knights. But I like tanking on pretty much everything, so that's not saying much. Folks, you can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. All of the other podcasts I do can be found at amove.tv. Still doing the solo show, R2T2, so go find that out. Still doing graphic design over at nomoonart.com. I actually updated my graphic design portfolio. There is new stuff on there, so you can go over to nomoonart.com right now and see some of that new work. And you can also contact me right there if you need some art made. So go check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!